Alright, GamingSaint here, back with another Apex video, but this one's going to be a little bit different. It's actually going to be kind of a guide video, moving into the new ranked season, season 12 in Apex. I want to make a video about how to get through the ranked in Apex, specifically getting through the grind from Platinum and making it into Diamond, where you get the big rewards, like the dive trail that you can keep permanently. Because I noticed most players, where they drop out of the, they stop playing the ranked in Apex, is that Platinum getting to Diamond area. Just because it's very long, it can be tedious. So I want to just make a video helping people, try and get through that quickly and effectively, so you can play more of the, control mode in the new season. You don't have to play ranked as much. So first I'm going to go over kind of just general team strategy. How are you moving with your team? What's the right way to play with them? Like what's the meta with that? And then weapons. Obviously weapons are important. There's a current weapon meta that changes with each season, and while you don't have to strictly adhere to it, it is important to know it and play around it a little bit. And then lastly, I'm going to go over changes that are likely coming in the new season, because obviously the map and the specific weapons and care package weapons are going to change a little bit. So first, let's get right into it with the team strategy. Now, the most important thing with team strategy is just, number one, sticking with your team. Always the most important part. Just actually, when you start firing at the enemy, when the fighting starts, you need to be right next to your teammates. They need to be firing at the same enemies with you. You don't have time, you can't be 50 meters apart and then you see a teammate go down and then you start going in. By that time, you've probably already lost the fight. And I know it can be hard to, you use your pings and stuff. It can be really hard to get your teammates to go into fights with you. A lot of times that doesn't exactly feel under your control.
To the rescue. So
one thing that I would do in the ranked is honestly I would choose a teammate. Like after we're done with the looting, the looting and stuff, I would just choose a teammate and kind of follow, like when I hear footsteps around, when I hear fighting start, just get real close to one of my teammates, kind of a 10-meter range, because when the enemy comes up, you want a 2 or 3v1 the enemy. What you don't want is 3 individual one-on-one fights, because 3 individual fights, if one of your teammates or you loses them, well, now your squad's likely to die. So if you do 3 3v1 fights, not only are you incredibly likely to win each fight, but it also makes it very easy. If someone on your team chokes, if you choke with the aiming, it's no big deal. You're all right there next to each other. So that's really the biggest thing with the ranked, is sticking right by your team. And yeah, unfortunately, when you're really serious about the ranked, it's kind of up to you to stick with your team, even though you can try and obviously you use pings effectively and whatnot. Like, I did not often have a pre-made squad going through Platinum, getting the Diamond this season, some other seasons. I usually don't have a pre-made team, but I wasn't always on the mic either. But I just get on and yeah, I choose a teammate, I'll stick by them, use my pings. Alright, so other than sticking with your team, what's some other team strategy? Well, the current team meta, I would guess, is, it's part of the fighting together, but it is It's a meta of like sniping an enemy or identifying a lower health target and then having your whole team just thirst in on one target and getting them out. So how this plays out practically is many times I'll see like a squad so a squad, let's say someone shoots an enemy on the other team with the sentinel, they get a headshot, it's like a 120 damage, and you notice they're a little bit separated from the other members of their squad, right? And then what always happens in ranked is we take that opportunity and you'll have like an octane on your team or something, everyone will jump pad in on that person. It's a very common meta. You don't exactly need a mobility legend to do it. You can just be using a, you know, standard normal speed legend, but the common theme is that you get a big hit on somebody, you identify somebody's that's weak, right? And then your whole team moves in on them when they're, you know, if they're a little bit separated from the rest of their team, you take advantage of that and move in. I mean, other than that, I mean, you could give advice like, you know, obviously hit your shots, but the biggest cover, things happen. Sometimes you don't hit your shots, and the biggest way to counteract that is sticking by your team. So I want to go over general weapon strategy. So the current weapon meta in season 11, and it's not likely to change too much in the season 12. Obviously, what I see most people have one close range gun, like the car. So they've got a SMG, right? A high mobility close range gun. And then, oh, that was bad. And then, other than that, they have a sniper. There's a lot of snipers in, whenever you play ranked, everyone's peeking out with a sniper. They do it to fill up their shield, but they also do it to just reduce enemy heals. There's a lot of peeking going on with snipers, and definitely the most popular sniper right now is the triple take. There's a lot of reasons for it, but the main one is that it has the highest DPS out of the snipers right now. It does the most damage out of the snipers. The triple take is the most commonly used sniper right now, and for the close range gun, I'd definitely say it's the car. But all the SMGs work, really. I see a lot of people using the Prowler a lot. I like the Prowler because it's high accuracy. It's very easy to headshot with. Even though R99 I don't think is still as good as the car, but any SMG really will work. Shotguns also work, but those can be a little more legend dependent, I guess. Now a lot of guns are just kind of in the middle range, I guess, like the 30-30 repeater. You know, people use that. They're kind of like intermediary guns where people use them if they haven't found the optimal yet, like the 30-30, the flatline, although the flatline's always been good. The R301 is always a solid option. Only thing is, you have to, my recommendation would take a, it's like practically choosing your weapon in combat. I'd say look at two things, really. So first, look at the DPS of the weapon. There's an Apex Legends wiki chart that has the DPS of all the weapons that you can see. So you can look at the DPS, there, and then after that, I would say just go into the firing range a little bit and know what you can aim at. Know what you're good with, because it's something I see a lot. People take a weapon because, you know, they think it's better or it is better, but they don't really, you know, they're not the best with it. They don't really know the recoil of it. You know, just be honest with what you can aim with. A lot of times in ranked, I would take the Prowler just because it's what I felt the most comfortable with. You know, the DPS doesn't matter nearly as much as you just being able to hit your shots with it. So the real advice is go into firing range, play around with the weapons, and find out what you can aim and headshot with. Because reliably hitting the enemy in moments of high stress and headshotting them, like headshots, add way more to your DPS than just the basic. So if you can headshot with things, if a weapon feels good to you, use that weapon. Go in the firing range a little bit and just, you know, find a nice combination. You know, experiment with the long range weapons until you find an optimal long range option, like mine's the triple take, and then find a nice close range option. So for example, maybe your end loadout is something like Sentinel Volt, or, you know, charge rifle R99. You know, they all can work as long as you know, you feel comfortable with it and you can aim with it. Now that being said, there are some kind of lesser used weapons, or just not the weapons that have kind of fallen off, either because they don't have great utility or just because their DPS isn't the best. The first one I want to talk about is the Rampage. Now the Rampage is good if it has a thermite grenade in it. But if it doesn't have a thermite, it's really not that good of a gun. Like, the gun is not competitive against other high DPS options if it does not have the thermite grenade. Also, it relies heavily on the barrel stabilizer if you're going to be hip firing a lot. And I kind of like the hip fire, which is part of why I use the Prowler a lot, because it has great hip fire. Yeah, the Rampage is not a very great option. Other option that can be kind of weird is the Wingman. It's a very good gun, but you have to hit headshots to make it a very good gun. If you're gonna give it a competitive DPS with SMGs, like if people are coming in on you, if people are coming in with SMGs, the only way to win with the, like, you can beat them with the Wingman, but you have to hit headshots. So just, that's something to kind of be aware of. It's a very good gun, but, you know if you can use it. The Hemlock is actually something I would recommend if you have trouble, headshotting. It's a weapon like the Prowler that kind of naturally headshots people. The DPS isn't especially high on its own, but it's just a very easy gun to use, so I highly recommend it. Flatline is like the Wingman. It's very skill based. You know, don't use it if you don't really know the recoil, because it does have some side to side and obviously stabilizer, but it is very effective. The Devotion, Turbocharger Devotion is, I see people use it whenever they can, and it's a very good, Devotion's kind of picked up in popularity just because of its immense DPS. It has a much higher DPS than most of the guns in the game. L-Star's kind of fallen off, mainly because you dramatically slow down when you aim in. Honestly, none of the LMGs are highly used, just because of their scope speed, except for the Spitfire. Spitfire's still great. But the Devotion and the Spitfire are really the only main SMGs to use. The 3030 is, I'd say, gotten better since it's basically replaced the G7 since they moved the G7 to the care package. It kind of fills that void. and I think it's a very good long-range rifle. I think it's a little bit underrated actually. I use the 30-30 kind of a lot. Now the charge mechanic on it isn't especially useful, but it's just a very easy to use gun, and it has a great hop up in the dual shell. It just doubles the reload time, or not doubles, but halves the reload time, doubles the reload speed basically. The shotguns are all like the Peacekeeper. They're all very good at the start. Like at the start of the match, I love getting something like a Peacekeeper, but the longer, you know, as the match goes on, they tend to be a little less effective. So I wouldn't have them in your end build. You know, I'd replace them for an SMG like the car. Unless you're doing specific setups with peeking, like Gibraltar and his shield can use the Peacekeeper to a pretty nasty effect if you peek in and out of the shield, stuff like that. But other than those strategies, I wouldn't use shotguns to the end of the game unless you're using those kind of peek strategies. The bow is also, I highly recommend the bow. It's another great marksman option. Very easy to hit people. You don't even, oftentimes you don't even need more than the 1x sight. Some other guns like a longbow, I don't like using that with just base sight, but the bow feels fine, and the hip fire is actually pretty good. Like you can move at a decent speed with the hip fire and still hit people. So I think that's about all of the weapons in the current meta. So just to recap, get a long range gun that you like, get a close range gun that you like, and more specifically for your close range, I would choose between one of the SMGs, R99, Car, Prowler, Volt. And then for the long range, I would choose a marksman option. So triple take would probably be my first recommendation, then bow, and then the other ones after that, like Sentinel, charge rifle. So close range, long range, go in the firing range, practice with them a little bit, and find what you like. Now I know it's like, oh, well, obviously just find what you like. Thanks, big help. But just, you have to find the balance of DPS and knowing what you can hit people with. Like, the Hemlock can be a great, can you replace your long range option if you just, you know, if you know that's what you're gonna, if that's what you're gonna kill people with, that's what practically is good to you, then use that. Like a lot of times I'll have the wrong person grab the Kraber from a care package. Like someone will grab the Kraber, but they're just, quite frankly, you know, they grab it because it's a big weapon, but they're just not very good with it. And you know, so don't do that. Don't find a weapon and think, hey, this is good, I should take this, but then sacrifice practically being able to hit people. Alright, so last kind of section, the changes that are likely coming in the newest season. So these care package weapons will likely change for the season. I doubt that the G7 will stay in the care package. I think it was the G7's always been a good gun, but I really didn't like it in the care package. I mean, it's still strong. It only got like a 4 damage buff. So I think the G7 will likely be moving out the care package, and I don't think anyone will be too upset about that. Alternator, Kraber, and Spitfire all seem fine to me in the care package. I don't think they would change, but I definitely think the G7 might be moving out. Any guns that could get buffs, LMGs, they might get a buff to their scoping, like the move speed, which would really help, because right now LMGs like that L-Star really just aren't used that much. If anything needs a nerf, it would probably, like if anything's getting nerfed, it would probably be the triple take and the car maybe. That's kind of the main meta right now, the easiest meta. You just grab a triple take, grab a car. So they probably nerf one or both of those guns. But I think most of the general pool weapons that have been solid for a while, like Flatline, R301, R99, Prowler, they probably aren't getting touched. They could bring back a hop up for the Prowler, like Select Fire, but other than that, those weapons really aren't going to change that much. So yeah, that's kind of my ranked season guide. I hope it's helped you a little bit knowing kind of what to use, the weapon meta. I want to go over my settings. Actually, I use controller. I know, filthy controller player. I do play Apex on PC sometimes. It's just I've been playing controller longer. I don't think console is better, but that's what I play on. So what I found very helpful for controller is, first, I turn down the dead zone. Right, that makes sense. It lets you hit like the small sniping shots a little bit more. So turning down the dead zone is very nice. And then the main thing that helps me in gameplay with controller is turning down this turning ramp up time, because what that effectively does is that it doesn't sacrifice like my normal aim. Like I can aim just fine, but I can 360 very fast basically with this. Now it's still not like flicking on a PC obviously, but it's much faster than the default turn rate when you turn on the advanced look controls and you turn this ramp up time down. And obviously you want that delay all the way down as well. It's just a big help. And then I changed just the ADS speed just a little bit, just because I wanted it to be closer. I'm just one of the people that likes the up and down and left and right to feel close to each other. But that's not really a big deal. Main recommendation, if you're on a controller, turn the dead zone down for some fine aiming at range, and then turn this ramp up time down so you can basically when you get shot in the back, so you can look around faster. Or it's very helpful like when I'm playing Mirage, you know, I want to do that, you need to be able to turn fast, turn the direction, you know. Alright, so that'll be about it for the video. Main takeaways I want to re-emphasize at the end: stick with your team. If your team dies at the start, you know, you hide. You know, it sucks, but you hide, do your best, and just kind of sit there. Do the thirst strategy, where you identify a weak target and go in all at once with your team. And then for weapons, you want a long range, preferably a marksman, and then a short range gun. Double close range guns can also work at the end of the game, but in ranked there's a lot of peeking, and you want to get your red shield. So just have a long range, have a close range gun. SMG marksman weapon works great. Go into the firing range just a little bit and find what you like. And then just just legend wise, you can pretty much choose whatever legend you want, really. Even with the whole thirsting strategy, you don't specifically have to play Octane or a movement legend. Generally, movement legends are kind of the meta in ranked. You know, anyone that has a speed boost of some sort, Pathfinder, Wraith, Octane, usually they are the meta. But any of the legends, they do work. You know, it's not critical that you have to play a certain legend I wouldn't get hung up on that too much. Alright, well that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gives you a little bit of a strategy tip for this new rank season. Of course, it can also help you in control as well. You know, the new mode, the meta in that will likely be, you know, take a sniper and take an SMG as well. But we'll see how it changes in just a little bit. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and if you like what you see, maybe check out some of my other Apex videos. There are a lot of gameplay videos where I kind of show the stuff that I'm talking about. And that'll be it. See ya.